Hey guys. Okay, so I am going to connect my phone. I'm going to mute my computer. I'm going to connect my phone so that way I can see comments that you guys have, and plus to give you guys a couple minutes to come on live with me. Do, 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 do. Just have, and plus to give you guys a couple minutes. Oh, that's me talking. Okay, awesome. So I can see the chat now. So I see we have a few people who are in here live. Go ahead and comment and let me know who's here so I can see who's in the group today. And then I'm going to pull up my slides and share my screen. Okay. Share my screen, and then I'm going to pull up my slides. Oh, good. We have more people joining. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so hey, Diana from Florida. So glad you could join again. Hey, Becca. Okay. Had to throw my little tea bag out of my tea. I'll slap myself in the face with it as we go on today. So you guys, welcome. Oh, hey, Jacob. It was so fun presenting with you last week in DHCC. I was kind of bummed we didn't get a chance to chat. So hope you're doing well, Jacob. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are on day 2 of the 3-day side hustle challenge. So thank you guys all so much for joining us. If you missed day 1, you can go catch it in the Facebook group. The replay is available. I will drop a link if you want to register for the challenge. I send out an email after this event. What I do is I download the video, upload it to YouTube, and send it out to everyone, and with the replays too. So with this challenge, it's 3 days, 30 minutes or less a day. You watch each of the 3 days, respond to a question I ask you guys, just some reflection. And then if you do all 3 days by Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time, then you get entered into a drawing to win my Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course. So I appreciate you guys all being here. And also a shout out and thank you to those of you who are catching this on the replay. So if you guys are watching this on the replay, go ahead and let me know. So yesterday, guys, we talked all about mindset. And I will tell you, I loved reading your guys' responses, just to see you guys dig deep and try to recognize what are those barriers that are going to get in my way when it comes to starting a side hustle. Our mindset is everything. And I would encourage each of you who responded to go back and take a screenshot of what you answered, because that is going to be the one thing that could get in your way when it comes to starting a side hustle. So your success or failure, a lot of it's going to depend on how much are you able to overcome that barrier that you have. So I appreciate you all for your insights. Oh, we have someone from Alaska. Thanks for watching. So today we're going to be talking about all of the possibilities. We started off talking about mindset because it's so important. Good information, good ideas, a little bit of inspiration, it's all well and good. But if we don't start with addressing our mindset first, we're not going to have success. So we talked about mindset. Today, we're going to talk about all the cool things that we could do as dietitian side hustlers. Then tomorrow, we'll talk about pulling it all together and going all in and making a plan. So welcome to day 2, guys. I'm excited to have you all here. Today, we're going to talk about a bunch of side hustle ideas, and then we're going to talk about multiple streams of income. And I'm going to share with you guys an example of what my side hustle has looked like. Now I am in my 4th week of being a full hustler. I guess, I don't know if that's a word, but I'm no longer a side hustler, but I will share with you guys my experience. I love talking about numbers and dates just to show you a picture of what this could look like. And within my example, I share how I incorporate multiple streams of income and do lots of different side hustles kind of all in one. And then from there, we will have our assignment. And welcome, Kathleen from Indiana. Glad to have you. So this slide is a little bit of a party, but I just wanted to briefly go over all of the cool things that you guys can do as dietitians. We live in a whole new world. When I used to think of a side hustle or entrepreneurship, I always thought I had to be working with patients one-on-one. Worked a full-time job. I had no interest in working with patients. So I never really self-identified as an entrepreneur. And it took me a while to realize there were all these cool things that we could do as a dietitian. And I would say even more this day and age, even being in a pandemic and more people are getting used to being online and how, work is changing. There's just there's no limit to the things that we can do, whether or not you want to work with patients or not at all. So many things. So first off, freelance writing is a wonderful side hustle opportunity for dietitians. I always tell people, if you see words written somewhere, someone probably got paid to write that. And if it's related to like nutrition, why not you? So when it comes to freelance writing, this can include writing for other people's blogs, writing for newsletters, writing for magazines, even writing for books. There are so many different opportunities out there for dietitians to write because we have expertise and knowledge in an area that a lot of people are interested in. Next, we have webinars, which are becoming increasingly popular. So I know Jacob is on live, and Jacob and I just presented for a webinar with Dietetics and Healthcare Communities, the DPG, last week. And there are lots of groups who are looking for speakers to present on different topics. Now, this was more of a virtual summit, but it was like a webinar. So you can speak on webinars for companies that do webinars, maybe continuing education for dietitians. I love Dietitian Central. They're a great company to work for. I'm doing a presentation for them actually tomorrow on ethics. But you could also do webinars for different nutrition practice groups, for different, the state level academy groups, and even thinking outside of our profession. Think of all of the other allied healthcare professions that have virtual events or in-person events, and they have continuing education opportunities for their members. So that could be for doctors, for nurses, for speech therapists, occupational therapists, right? Everyone in the allied healthcare profession could benefit from hearing from a dietitian based on whatever your specialty is. So webinars is a wonderful side hustle opportunity. And hey, Trisha, thanks for joining from Philly. Live speaking engagements. Now, this one, I feel like it is, we don't see as much of this right now. I feel like it's starting to come back, or it starts to come back, then it gets taken away. But, my hope is that it will eventually come back. But live speaking engagements, very similar to webinars, thinking of the different places that you can speak and share your expertise as a dietitian. Now, this can be for a big conference. It could be for a local meeting. It could be in healthcare. It could be as part of corporate wellness. It could be for a business. It could be for a health fair. There's all kinds of opportunities where we can get paid as dietitians to speak. So next we have one-on-one patient care, which is, I think a lot of people are familiar with this. So this could be providing medical nutrition therapy, even nutrition coaching. It could be in person, it could be virtual, it could be telehealth. Next, we have blogging. I'm not going to talk too much about blogging because I'm going to share my blogging example today. And you're going to see an example of how I combine lots of different side hustle ways to build a side hustle based on blogging. I'm going to talk about more of that later, but I just saw a comment. Jacob shared added bonus about the webinars. Now you have that presentation material built, which is awesome to recycle for a ton of different content. Yes. And so what Jacob was sharing is, once you make a webinar, you have this amazing content you created. Now, how can you repurpose that to share that information with other groups? Make a couple little tweaks here and there, or even you can repurpose it and do something else with it. You can create it into something written. I will share my, back in the day when I first got into webinars, my very first webinar was on nutrition at end of life. And the editor for Today's Dietitian magazine somehow heard about my presentation, and I actually got approached to write an article for Today's Dietitian. I was so excited because, we don't have too many magazines in our field. I would have written it for free, but they actually paid me. So yes, you can take your content and repurpose it in all kinds of ways. So teaching is another great opportunity. This can be for a local community college. It could be for a university. There are so many online programs, of course, depending on your credentials, right, and your experience. But some dietitians, their side hustle is, teaching at a community college every Wednesday night on a general nutrition 101 course. Next, we have cooking classes. A lot of dietitians, they like to cook. So this could be doing cooking classes as part of your own practice, virtual or in person. This could be doing cooking classes at your local parks and recreation, with a business as part of corporate wellness, at a health fair, at a library. A lot of libraries actually have budgets to bring in people to speak on different topics, and why not a dietitian? Podcasting is another potential side hustle. Now, how you make money through podcasting is a couple of ways. If you've ever listened to a podcast and you hear at the beginning, middle, or sometimes end, usually not the end, but like this podcast was brought to you by, there's a sponsor behind that who is paying that person. Not in every case. Sometimes it's, just a collaboration, but a lot of the times there are sponsorships with podcasts. But then also podcasts serve as a great lead magnet. People get to know, like, and trust you, and then you tell them all about a wonderful product or service you have, and it leads to people to purchase that from you. Next, we have working with brands, and there are lots of different ways you could work with brands. You could work on a project. You can connect brands with other dietitians, with the public, write an article for your audience, share a post with your audience, create content for them and their newsletters and their audience. So there's lots of different opportunities for us to work with brands and different companies. You could also be an influencer. I will say this one isn't for everyone, but we just recently did a podcast episode on this topic on dietitian side hustle. I'm not sure if anyone was able to listen to it, but I interviewed a dietetic intern who was just lovely, who is a rising influencer. And an influencer is just someone who has a big social following, right? On TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. This is not for everyone. They typically make money by working with brands. They could sell their own swag. There's different ways that they make money. But for the right person, if your personality fits being an influencer, then that is a perfectly legitimate side hustle opportunity. Now, you also have coaching. This could be nutrition coaching with patients. This could be business coaching. It could be, maybe you have a skill that you can teach to another dietitian or a student to help them to pass the dietitian exam, to get a specialty credential. We all have skill sets that we can help other people with. Grocery store tours. This can be in conjunction with the grocery store, also with businesses as part of corporate wellness. Culinary work, because again, a lot of dietitians like food. Culinary work can include recipe development, food photography, nutrient analysis. Selling physical goods is another wonderful side hustle opportunity. And this could be selling like fun mugs, fun t-shirts, like selling swag, but you could also sell digital goods. I love rd2rd.com. It's a wonderful place that you can take your handouts that are, is collecting digital dust, and you can put that online, and another dietitian or just any general person from the public can utilize that resource, and you can make a couple bucks off it. So we also have direct sales. Now, this is working for a company. Maybe it is supplements, maybe it is skincare, maybe it is cooking supplies. There's all kinds of different direct sales opportunities where you don't really have to worry about the marketing and stuff. You just have to find something you align with, and that can be your side hustle. Affiliate marketing, this is where you sell other people's products or services. So this could be a course, maybe a software platform. There's lots of different things you can be an affiliate for, but essentially, we can't be everything to everyone. But if we find something that would really help our ideal client, then why not refer that to them? And then you get a commission off of it. And then finally, guys, anything is possible. We can do anything when it comes to being a dietitian side hustler. I've heard of dietitians doing birthday parties, and I think that's so cool. Like, hey kids, let's hire the dietitian for the birthday party. They were doing cooking classes. I've heard of other dietitians who, one who's taught mermaid swimming classes. Like, how cool is that? So pretty much there's no limit to what you can do, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. These are some ideas, and I hope that maybe one or more of these sparked your interest, and maybe you're like, ooh, I want to do this and this and this. I do have on my website, dietitiansidehustle.com, this page. It's relatively new. If you go to the page, like right here, it says side hustle ideas, and this is what it looks like. So I have some of the primary side hustles that people are interested in. These are all buttons. You can click on one, it'll scroll down, and you could read more about that topic if you want to learn more about a particular side hustle that we talked about today. But now let's talk about, we have someone from Hawaii. Is it still sunny there? I'm in Oregon, it's dark here now. So multiple streams of income. I was at a conference actually a couple of years ago, and a dietitian was talking about how the people who have the most money have the most streams of income. And it just really sparked something in me that day. And I really became fascinated with having multiple streams of income. And the way I like to present this topic is thinking about a lake or a source of water, and you have lots of streams of water coming into that lake. So there's usually like a big stream, right? But then there's little creeks and things, right? Now, if one of those little creeks dries up, is the lake suddenly going to like go empty? No, because there's multiple sources of water feeding into that lake. Same thing with your business. If your business is completely reliant on one stream, if that dries up, your lake's going to go dry. So maybe you have a contract where you've been doing freelance writing with someone forever. It's been a great gig, but something happens in their business and they can't pay you. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, my side hustle is gone. So the more sources of income we have, the better for our business. And also it's a way to make more money. Now, when it comes to money, I talked about this a bit briefly yesterday, but we have active income and passive income. So active income is like our traditional job. We are trading time for money. We work 40 hours, we get paid for 40 hours. If you are a freelancer, you get a freelance gig, you complete that project, you finish the contract, you get paid, one and done, right? So this is traditionally what we're taught in school and what a lot of us are used to. but there's another way, and that is passive income. Passive income is where you create something once. You do have to figure out a way to market this, but once you figure that out, you are able to make sales on autopilot, which continue to build over time. So it is a way to not exclusively trade time for money. So when it comes to our side hustle, we could have both sources of active income and passive income with the goal of building up more streams of passive income, because that means we can have more time freedom and financial freedom. So let's see. And hello, Diana from LA. So when it comes to multiple streams of income, as we were kind of going over that list, where I was talking about all these different side hustle ideas, I'm sure you could see maybe a logical way that you can combine different side hustles. How, oh, this can go with this and this can go with this. And this, guys, is why I love blogging. So blogging is where we utilize search engine optimization. This is a strategy to get our content on the first page of Google. 90% of people use Google. Most people go into the internet through a search engine. Sometimes we don't even think of how much we ask Google or even Alexa. We ask these computers to search and look up things for us. And when we get the answer, it's typically a blog that's being pulled up. So SEO allows people to find us. It gives us also authority. It gives us opportunities to make sales, and it's a way to incorporate both passive and active income. So some examples of ways that you can have multiple streams of income through blogging can include doing freelance writing, speaking, doing some webinars, selling some digital goods, having ads on the website, having a course that you sell, working with brands and companies, doing affiliate sales, doing some freelance work, etc. So before I dive in and explain to you guys kind of an example of my own dietitian side hustle and how I make money through multiple streams of income, I want to briefly describe how to make money. Now, this is very oversimplified, but I think it paints a good picture of how we actually make money in our side hustle. So, oversimplified, how you make money, you need two things. You need something to sell and someone to sell it to. Now, I will tell you, something to sell is probably the easiest one. As dietitians, we can bust out some amazing handouts, plans for a program, a course. We can create content like no one's business. The harder part is finding the people to sell it to. And this is why I love blogging, because you're able to build up, lots of traffic that just comes to your website, day after day. And it just makes it easier once you have all those people coming. Then you offer something to sell. So it really is a combination. You could have the best product in the world with no audience and you're not going to make any money. You could have a huge audience and have a really crappy product, not be credentialed, not know what you're talking about, and make a ton of money, right? So it's about finding this balance of having something to sell and someone to sell it to. So let me dive into my example of my dietitian side hustle over the last 2.5 years as I started blogging. Now, some of this data is actually new. I just compiled it this week, and I'm really excited to share with you guys. But I like talking real life numbers and examples because I think it's helpful to see what this could look like in real life. So my blog is called The Geriatric Dietitian. I started it 2 years ago on June 29th. It was my birthday. It was my birthday gift to myself, was to have it done by that date. So what I'm showing you here is this is 2.5 years. Each little mark here marks a 6-month period. And what I want to show you guys first off is how I have multiple streams of income, and I didn't have them all overnight. This was something I built over time. When I first started the blog, I've been side hustling for about 7 years before. Now I'm a full hustler, right? I quit my full-time job, but I had been side hustling for about 7 years. So when I started my blog, I was doing freelance writing and live webinars. I also had on-demand webinars, which would mean if someone would watch the live webinar and then later on they would watch the one on demand, I'd get a small commission. And that was actually my first experience with passive income. Every couple of months, I'd get a check in the mail for $100. And it was so cool because I'm like, I didn't do anything and I'm making money. But these are things I was already doing when I started the blog. When I started the blog, I did create an account on RD to RD and had links to that website to sell digital goods. So handouts mostly. I did start doing some work with brands and companies. I think I talked about authority. Now, I am not the only geriatric dietitian, but I have a website called The Geriatric Dietitian. And when you go to Google, it pulls up my website. So it did give me opportunity to do a lot of really fun gigs and also gives you that authority of being online with a website. Now, about a little over 6 months into blogging, I created my first product, which was a cookbook called High Calorie Shakes. I made it because my audience was asking me for it. I had so many people emailing me, Grandma keeps losing weight. Do you have any shake recipes? So I made it and continue to make passive income off that. Over the summer, I made an ebook. And then in fall, I made a second e-cookbook because the first one was so great. I started having more and more interviews with marketing companies and businesses because they were finding me on Google. About 18 months into blogging, 17, 18 months, I qualified for ads on my website. And as I'll show you soon, actually, that's how I've made a lot of money through blogging, is through ads on the website. And then also I've made money through Amazon affiliates. It's where you have links on your website for Amazon products. You get a super tiny commission, but it's another stream of income, right? And then also I created a course at the beginning of last year. And then really for most of last year, I didn't add any new products. I just really kind of kept what I had because I built quite a few income streams. So let me paint the picture of my multiple streams of income and kind of how they built over time. So we're going to look at each year. We're going to look at both active income and passive income. Now, the goal is passive income, but passive income takes time to build. I think there's this misconception of it's like, you don't have to work for passive income. You just make money for doing nothing. That is a misconception. It takes time and work. But once you hit that tipping point, it is so cool, as I'll show you as we move forward. So in the beginning, I was doing a lot more active income where I was trading time for money, doing that freelance writing, doing live webinars, working with brands and companies. And I was doing this because it enabled me to make money now as I built my blog, recognizing that blogging is a long-term game, but would make me so much more money in the long term. Now, I did have two passive income sources in the beginning, those digital goods I started selling and the webinars. So moving into 2020, I did add a couple more income streams, the ones in blue. I added those ebooks for passive income where I made them once, just continue to sell them. And then I also started doing some interviews. Not a lot of time though for those, they're short. 2021, you can see I started kind of backing off on the active income. I actually stopped doing freelance writing completely, recognizing if I wrote for my own blog, I would make so much more money than writing for someone else. I also added ad revenue, affiliate sales, and courses. So you can see I got a lot more passive income sources and less active income where I'm trading my time for money. So looking here at 2021 or 2022, where we currently sit, I mostly have passive income sources through the blog. I have very little active income. I still do webinars because I love to do it, but not a ton. And I do a little bit of work here and there for companies and the occasional interview. So let me paint the picture of what this looks like in numbers. Okay. So the first six, I'm going to go through each 6-month chunk with you guys, right? And I'm just going to show you how I make money blogging and completely passive income. The numbers I'm sharing with you are passive income right now. So the first 6 months of blogging, I made a whopping $59. And this was through selling digital goods, but it was all passive. So I was really excited. I'm like, man, I made these handouts and I'm making money and I'm not like trading time for money. This is so cool. So the next 6 months in, I ended up making $744, which is quite the jump, right? And this was from starting those ebooks. But remember, with passive income, it continues to generate money. And as you build up more traffic on your blog, you make even more. So the next 6-month period, I had more ebooks, more traffic, and I made over $2,000. Again, every step of the way, I just have been so excited. Moving forward into the first 6 months of 2021, at this point, I qualified for ad revenue, and that was the big money maker for me. So you can see, I'm not going to go over this in too much detail, but really in all categories, the amount is continuing to go up. But now I have ads, which was a good source of income. So the next 6-month chunk, I made over $15,000. And then moving into the last 6-month chunk of 2021, I ended up making $23,000 in completely passive income. And again, this is just by having those multiple streams of passive income on the website and building traffic. So let's look at this picture again with adding the money in it. So again, over time, I ended up growing my traffic and I ended up growing my income sources. And even though in the beginning of blogging, I wasn't making a lot of money, over time, it really compounded. I really don't think 2.5 years is that long in the scheme of things. And what's cool, as long as I maintain my blog, this is money I'll continue to make day after day, week after week, month after month, which is why I'm such a big fan of passive income, because it really does provide that freedom. It takes time, it takes work, but it is definitely worth it on the flip side. So let me share with you guys a little bit about how people are finding me. Like, let's look at the numbers behind the numbers, the money numbers, right? So again, I started my blog in June 29th of 2019. So, this is not 24 months of data. This is 2.5 years worth of data. And so I actually just pulled this. This is from a website called Google Analytics that shows the traffic on my website. It took me about 9 months before Google, which is the main search engine, even started picking up my blog. But then after that, traffic started to grow. My traffic dropped over the holidays, but then spiked back up. And then again, this year, actually, it spiked or it dropped during the holiday and spiked back up. So you can just kind of see how the traffic on my website has continued to grow over the past 2.5 years. So as of right now, over the last 30 days, I've had 131,000 sessions to my website. Think of a session like someone coming to the website. So quite a few people are visiting this website every single month, which is how I'm able to make sales on autopilot, because they're coming to the website for a reason. They've got a problem, they have a question, and I've got solutions. So on my social media, I don't do a lot of social media with the geriatric dietitian anymore, but I do have almost 4,000 followers on Instagram, a little over 2,000 members in my Facebook group, which is actually geriatric dietitians, a little under 2,000 followers on Pinterest, and then about 1,600 on my email marketing. But I'm really not active on my email marketing right now. So really all of this income really is coming passively through the blog. So I want to show a quick example of blog growth. I made this a while back, like a year ago, right? But I really like how it paints the picture of blogging and growth, because, 6 months into blogging, I was only having, about 713 sessions, or I'll call it people, coming to the website, which honestly, I thought that was so cool at the time. I mean, these are 700 people I don't even know. And then fast forward 1 year later, I was at 105,000, which was like mind blowing. So this was all done through search engine optimization and just utilizing business strategy to build my traffic and income sources. So I talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but this is just painting the picture of looking at the passive income that was earned last year through the blog. And so I made about $39,000 in the last 12, in 2021 is how much money that was generated. And if we look at this in terms of time for money, it would have taken me about 24 hours of work every week at the median dietitian salary to make this money. And I was able to make it completely passively, which was such a blessing. It gave me more time freedom, financial freedom. And I always throw in the clinical freedom, meaning I got to do what I want to do, right? I didn't have to do the things I didn't want to do, which was wonderful. Now, this was just the passive income through the blog. I do also want to share, I have my brand dietitian side hustle, and I do make money through other multiple streams of income. I have live webinars. I have affiliate income where I recommend other amazing programs from other dietitians, where I make a commission, and healthcare professionals, I should say. I do some work with brands and companies. I have my courses. My main one is my blogging accelerator program. I do coaching. I have a mastermind I run now. And then I also make money. This one's kind of weird, but I'm going to share with you guys my income report. I share it on the blog every year. I just want to share it really quick because I love talking money. But prizes from coaching. I'm in a high level coaching program. It's a year-long coaching program. Greg Todd's my coach. He's a physical therapist. And he has this fun thing where like you can get money for doing work. Like you show up on one of his calls and you answer questions and you get a chance to win money on a spinning wheel. So I did get some money from being in my coaching program. But anyways, I claim the money on taxes, so I thought I'd show it. Now, every year I share on the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast an income report, and I also share it on the Dietitian Side Hustle blog. So I just briefly wanted to share this with you guys to show how my blog, and not just my blog, my side hustle, through having multiple streams of income, continued to grow over time and generate a 6-figure side hustle last year. Now, in the future, this is not a side hustle, right? But last year in 2021, by having these multiple streams of income, some of which were passive, some of which were active, I was able to make $150,000 in my side hustle. Now, the beauty of this is I got to choose what I wanted to do. I was able to say no to things I didn't want to do. There's a lot of freedom in that. It was all on my own time. And ultimately, I was building my own brand, recognizing that this is something that will continue to make me more money. So I hope that's helpful for you guys, just to kind of see an example of how I was able to incorporate multiple streams of income, recognizing that it does take time to build a dietitian side hustle. It's not like overnight, all of a sudden, like we're rolling in the dough. But if you put in the work, the strategy, and the time, it absolutely is worth it and will pay off. Now, again, reflecting on how to make money, you got to have something to sell and someone to sell it to, which again is why I love blogging, because it's a way that you can combine, create a logical plan of combining side hustles together. Again, big fan of developing multiple streams of income and also increasing those passive streams of income so you don't have to work as much. And when it comes to blogging, you are the CEO of your own brand. We use SEO to help people to find us. It gives us authority, opportunity for sales, and we can incorporate both the passive and active income. So I hope that was helpful for you guys to see an example, but I want to pull this up again just to kind of have you guys reflect on all the different side hustles that you can do. My hope is as I was talking today, something sparked in you and you're like, oh man, I didn't even know I could do that. And heck yeah, I want to do this for my side hustle. So your assignment for today, I want you guys to comment below and let me know what side hustle you want to pursue. Now, I will say it can be side hustles. So if you are like, yeah, I want to do freelance writing and webinars, or I want to do blogging and coaching, like whatever it is, comment below and let me know. Today is the day where you get to dream big and think about like, oh, what is it that I want to do? Now, figuring out the details of how to do it, we'll kind of talk more about that tomorrow and making a plan. But today it's all about figuring out, okay, what side hustle do I want to pursue? So this is your assignment for today. Go ahead and comment below what side hustle you want to pursue. I'm just leaving this up for a second as you guys might be staring at it. I'm like, oh, what is it that I want to do? So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Remember to stay entered into this drawing. You have to watch all 3 days. You have to comment below all 3 days with the question I ask you. And then on Friday afternoon, like it'll close. So you have like till Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time to complete the whole challenge. Then after that, I'll be shutting it down, putting everyone's name in a hat. Sometimes I do a spinny wheel. Depends on how motivated I am. And then we will do a drawing and see who wins my Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. So I see a quick question here. And homework number 1, question mark. So there was a video yesterday where we talked all about the mindset to start. You can find that in the group. If you have a hard time finding it, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the direct link. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. And I see these answers coming in. So yeah, thank you guys all so much for joining. I'm excited to see your answers and thanks for being part of the challenge. Have a great day and I will see you guys same place tomorrow. And again, for those of you catching the replays, thanks so much for joining. Bye guys.